Snow fell in thin lines across the city, the kind that looks soft until it finds your bones. Julie Harper checked her mother's blood sugar, waited for the tiny beep, and smiled like she could hold the number in place with her face alone. "Stable," she said. She tucked the blanket under her mother's chin and put a glass of water on the nightstand. "Go, Julie," her mom said, brave in a small way. "Don't miss the bus, and stop worrying." "I'll call the nurse if she skips," Julie answered. She kissed her mother's forehead, grabbed her bag, and ran. The bus windows were fogged. She wiped a circle with her sleeve and watched Boston smear by in gray and white. She counted minutes like coins she could not spend. 8, late. 11, 14. In the lobby, Mr. Thomason waited by the turnstiles like a door with a face. "We need reliability," he said, smooth and final. "My mom's sugar crashed." I waited for the nurse. "I'm sorry," he said. "Not sorry at all. This is a business. Folder. Signature. Badge gone." 3 years shrunk to 2 minutes. Outside, the snow made everything quiet, like the city was holding its breath. Julie found the awning of a closed cafe and sat on a cold bench. Her breath curled white, then vanished. "I'm trying," she whispered. "I'm trying so hard." Movement tugged at her eye. At the far edge of the awning, a man and a little girl sat pressed together under one thin coat. The girl had red cheeks and dark curls stuck to her forehead. They had no bags, no stroller, no ride coming, just two people holding on to warm. The list lit up in Julie's head. "You don't know them. It could be risky. You just lost your job. You have nothing to give." Then a gentler voice slid in, her, mother's from a better day. "If you can help when you think you have nothing, that help is real." Julie stood before fear could glue her down. She crossed the snow. "Hi," she said softly. "I live close by. It's warm. I made soup. If you need a place tonight." The man looked at the girl first, always the girl, then at Julie. His eyes were tired but clear. "Are you sure?" "Yes." "Thank you," he said, letting out a breath like a knot loosening. "I'm Matt. This is Diane. Only one night." One night is fine. Her apartment was small but warm, garlic and thyme hanging in the air from a pot that had tried to save the morning. Photos of Julie and her mom watched from simple frames. A knitted throw waited on the couch like an old friend. Diane's socks were thin and wet. Julie brought dry ones and a giant sweater that swallowed the little girl to the knees. "It smells like a restaurant," Diane whispered, studying the steam. "It's only vegetable and barley," Julie said. "But it helps." A cabinet hinge squeaked. Matt crouched, tightened 2 screws, opened and closed it until the sound went quiet. The faucet complained. He turned a valve and soothed it. "You don't have to," Julie said. "I know," Matt answered. "Fixing small things helps my head." They ate at the little table by the window. Snow ticked against the glass. Diane watched them like the world was a story she wanted to understand. "What do you do?" Julie asked. "Taking time off," Matt said. "Trying to find my feet." "I had a full ride to Columbia," Julie said. "Journalism. Then my mom got sick. I stayed. Receptionist job paid the rent. I learned names. I learned to be kind to people who forgot how." Matt looked at her with steady respect. "Choosing someone over yourself is not nothing." After dinner, Diane asked to draw. Julie brought a shoebox of crayons, ribbon, 2 buttons, and a little coil of green wire. Diane hummed as she worked, small and sure. Matt washed dishes he hadn't dirtied and freed the sticky drawer that always caught. "Do you always fix what you see?" Julie asked. Matt smiled without showing teeth. "When I can't fix the big stuff." Late. Diane's eyelids drooped. Julie built a nest on the couch with her mother's old college blanket. Before sleep took her, the child held out a gift the size of a coin. "For you." A bracelet made from green wire with 2 plastic beads. Not a perfect circle. An honest one. "You were the first person who smiled at me today," Diane said. Julie took it like glass and pulled the girl into her arms. Tears slid out, clean and warm. She let them. Morning was too neat. The blanket was folded with care. The sweater hung on the chair, washed, a whisper of lavender. The pot was clean and turned upside down on the rack. On the table by the window lay a folded white handkerchief. On top, a note in careful handwriting. Thank you. M. Inside the cloth, a crayon drawing, woman with yellow hair holding something. Green, a man and a girl on either side, a sky full of stars over their heads. Julie pinned the drawing to the fridge with a magnet and tucked the bracelet under it so it wouldn't slide. A beam of light found the green wire and made it glow like cheap glass that refused to look cheap. The week pressed down. Julie walked the city with a fresh resume. Now hiring signs grinned like liars. At one office, a woman glanced at her page for 3 seconds and said, "You seem too soft for this environment." The word soft sank its hooks. The hospital called at dusk. "Minor heart attack," the nurse said about her mother. "Stable. We'll adjust medication." Minor didn't know rent. Julie walked home against the wind and looked at the drawing and the bracelet. She reached for the magnet to rip them down because hope hurts when life doesn't match it. Then, Diane's voice, small and sure, came back. "You were the first person who smiled at me today." Julie let the magnet fall. She slid down the cabinets and cried like the room could hold it. When she emptied out, the light flickered and steadied. The green wire never moved. "I'm not done," she told the quiet, Tuesday morning, peeling carrots, trying to stretch soup to Friday. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Ms. Harper," a clear voice said. "Sarah from Westbrook Corporation, our CEO, would like to meet you. Tomorrow at 10. "I don't work there anymore," Julie said. "He knows," Sarah replied. "He asked for you by name." Julie wore her best blouse and black slacks. On the subway, she avoided the mirrored windows. The executive floor smelled like leather and fresh coffee, abstract art, glass awards, carpet that forgave footprints. The receptionist smiled and opened a heavy door. A man stood behind a long desk. Navy suit, composed posture. Same soft eyes. "Matt?" Julie breathed. Tiny feet slapped the floor. Diane crashed into her knees and hugged like a good storm. "Daddy said we might see you again." They sat by the window. Snow tapped to be let in. 2 weeks ago my purchase closed, Matt said. "I bought Westbrook. I'm the new CEO." The room shifted, but Julie's center held. "My wife's name was Caroline," he said, steady and low. "She made every room a home. 8 months ago, car accident. One moment we were planning a 5th birthday. The next, everything stopped. I couldn't go back to being a suit in a bright room. I took Diane. We tried to remember how to breathe. That night the heat failed at our rental. Motels were full. We sat under that cafe awning and hoped for an idea. You appeared. You opened your door. You fed us." Diane laughed. "I remembered the leader I want to be." He slid a letter across the table. "I'm rebuilding this company to value people, not just profit. I want you beside me. Not your old job, head of employee wellness and community outreach." "I didn't finish college," Julie whispered. "I was a receptionist." "I don't need another perfect resume," Matt said. "I need someone who sees people." Diane leaned into Julie's side like it was a place she belonged. "Okay," Julie said. From the first week, the work had weight and a heartbeat. On the shipping floor, a man wheezed. "My inhaler ran out yesterday. Payday's Friday." Julie called the pharmacy and used the emergency fund she'd fought to set up on day 1. "Covered," she said. He stared like winter took a step backward. In customer care, a mom said daycare closes at 5. My shift ends at 6:30. Julie wrote one clean line. Swap last 90 minutes for early arrival or finish notes from home. HR stamped approved. 2 parents stayed. Brent from facilities parked himself in her doorway. Thick shoulders, thicker opinions. "You're the new saint?" he said. "I fix forklifts, not feelings." "Forklifts carry weight," Julie said. "People do too." "Feelings slow the line," he grunted. "What slows it more?" Julie asked. "A 5-minute check-in or a panic attack on the floor?" He didn't answer. He left in a straight line that said he'd be back. At home, her mother tried to hide pride and failed. Head of wellness? You sound important. Important is whoever answers the phone, Julie said, and they laughed until the cough needed water. The board wanted numbers. A gray director said community is nice, margin matters. People stay when they're treated like people, Matt answered. Less churn, less training cost, better focus on data? The director asked. Early, Matt said, and strong. That night at the kitchen table, Julie and Matt built a small dashboard. Sick days, turnover, daycare conflicts, exit interview words. A last column, small wins. Julie typed inhaler covered, back on shift same day. Flex hours kept 2 parents. Bay 4 light fixed. Fewer headaches, fewer mistakes. Brent returned with a clipboard and a plan. Your rideshare board is chicken scratch. I'll mount a real one. Magnetic strips. Color-coded, looks like we meant it. 2 hours later it was on the wall. Names slotted in clean lines. Shoulders lowered. Then the clinic. Your mother felt faint. Observation. Stable. Stable is a good word that still makes your knees loose. Matt met Julie at the door. We'll drive. In the hospital, her mother looked small under white blankets and wore a smile like armor. I get pudding, she announced. Diane drew hearts on a sticky note and stuck it to the monitor. For extra beeps, she told the machine. The nurse grinned. Julie laughed and cried at once. That night, her mother waved them off. Go sleep. Bring the lavender honey tomorrow. The nurse and I will negotiate. The nurse half nodded. It sounded possible. Matt drove home with one hand on the wheel and one on the present. Tell me one thing you did right today, he said. Julie stared at streetlights smearing into lines. I made the nurse laugh, she said. I called my mom a polite rebel. The nurse said, my favorite kind. Wynn recorded, Matt said. The town hall filled early. Some came for facts, some for gossip, some for warm seats. Matt wore a soft sweater that said human louder than any suit. Many of you know Julie, he began. Know also who she was before a title. He told the winter story without drama. The door, the soup, the couch. He lifted a small green wire bracelet with 2 plastic beads and held it up. My daughter made this for her. Since we launched our changes, unscheduled absences are down 18%. Exit interviews mentioned support 42% more. 2 single parents stayed. Training cost avoided, $12,000. Average handle time improved because people who aren't panicking listen better. We'll keep measuring and fixing. But remember the heart under the numbers. The most valuable asset here is the person in front of you. Silence landed soft and heavy. One clap, then many. Julie felt something unlock in her chest that had been stuck for years. Afterward, a woman from accounting came with eyes bright and a voice steady. My husband starts chemo Monday. Your email about leave made me believe I won't lose everything. You won't, Julie said. And you're not alone. Not everyone clapped. The gray director muttered, touchy-feely. His neighbor said, did you hear the numbers? Old coats take time to throw away. The rooftop launch glowed under string lights, boxes soft to the eye because the fonts were gentle. On each corner a small icon, a steady hand with a spoon. Beneath the name, her first spoon, the line that hit like truth, for the women who stayed hungry to feed hope. Matt spoke about labels and dignity and rules that don't punish caregiving. Applause rose and fell. He stepped off the stage, walked straight to Julie and knelt. Not for show, for respect. A velvet box, a simple ring with a blue stone that looked like a calm lake. Julie Harper, he said, voice steady and full. You were light when the night was long. You were home before we had one. Will you be our forever place? Diane ran in and wrapped Julie's waist. Is this our family now? Yes, Julie said, tears clear and kind. 1,000 times yes. They married by a lake under kind sun and swaying trees. Daisy's music, laughter that didn't need volume to be real. Julie wore a simple dress. On her wrist was the crooked green bracelet with 2 plastic beads. Her mother walked her down the aisle and told Matt, thank you for seeing her. During vows, Diane stood between them and held both hands like a small bridge that could carry anything. After the kiss, she looked up and declared, we did it. And everyone laughed because it was the truest line of the day. Home was not a movie montage. It was better. The faucet leaked. Matt fixed it without a speech. Pancakes burned. They tossed them and tried again. Glow-in-the-dark stars went up on the bedroom ceiling in a pattern only Diane understood. They lay on the floor and watched pretend constellations while real ones blinked through the window. The fridge magnet held a small museum. The crayon drawing, the green bracelet, a note to the tooth fairy. Please don't take the tooth. It is my friend. A cafe napkin with a purple cat with wings. Work stayed human. The emergency fund covered inhalers and insulin without drama. Flexible hours saved jobs and nerves. New parent boxes included diapers, formula, and a note. If you feed your baby with love, you're doing it right. The cafeteria added a soup that tasted like someone stood and stirred. The quarterly report used a new word, belonging. Julie started 5-minute floor huddles called Quick Breath. No slides. One tip, one story. How to say I need 5 minutes without fear. How to come back after a panic moment. How to ask for help in plain words. Optional, but the room filled anyway. Brent listened from the doorway, arms crossed like always. Not bad, he said after the third. Brent for keep going. One afternoon, Anna from Care broke down at her station. Julie sat beside her, not across. 2 sentences, Julie said softly. Only 2. My mom's rent went up, Anna said. I'm behind. Julie opened the emergency form and made 2 calls. By day's end, Anna had a plan and a breathing space. Thank you for not making me feel small, she said. Small wins. Anna cried and stayed. The gray director tried once more to cut the program. Closed meeting. He brought margin charts. Matt brought people charts. Julie brought 3 names with permission and 1 sentence each. Stayed because daycare. Stayed because hours. Stayed because medicine. Brent accidentally walked in holding a ladder and said, Her stuff works. Bay 4 lights don't flicker. Neither do we. The director stared, sighed. Fine. Pilot continues. He didn't smile, but he stopped fighting. A letter came from Julie's old company on heavy paper. We failed to consider your circumstances. We are revising our attendance policy. We would like your advice. It wasn't revenge. It was relief. Julie agreed, paid consulting, and added a caregiver clause that mattered on Mondays, not only in memos. The company picnic was simple and perfect. Grills, a bounce house, a playlist that made shoulders drop. Diane ran tag and announced rules no one dared argue with. Julie's mom wore a wide hat and told stories that ended in laughter. Brent arrived with his sister and her boy. This is the not donuts one, he said, pointing at Julie. His sister laughed. Your template saved my schedule. I get to tuck him in. The boy waved with ketchup all over his face. Julie waved back, heart full. Not every day was smooth. One night, exhaustion made voices sharp. The towel on the floor became a war. They stopped. They breathed. Sorry I snapped, Matt said first. I was scared about figures I cannot control. Sorry I grabbed the wrong piece of the day to be mad at, Julie said. They hugged in the hallway the way people do when they choose to stay. In the morning, they laughed about a towel having that much power. On the 1-year mark of the cafe night, they went back. This time, the cafe was open. They took the same window table. A candle burned steady. Diane drew a purple cat with wings on a napkin and made it fly over sugar packets. It doesn't take much to tip a life, Matt said. A bowl of soup, a couch? A yes. And a bracelet that doesn't try to be perfect, Julie said, touching her wrist. Fall brought a school night where Diane read a page out loud, hands shaking, voice brave. Julie's mom sat in the front row with a proud face they could feel from the back. Afterward, Diane said, My voice forgot a word, but then it remembered. That's how brave works, Julie said. Winter returned with softer teeth. On a storm day, the city shut down early. Julie pushed out a simple company message from her phone at the kitchen table. Go home safe. No penalties, log off. See you when the streets remember us. Replies came back with little hearts and snow emojis and thank yous that felt like hot tea. One late night, the phone rang again. Clinic number. It's me, the nurse said, friendly now, familiar. Your mother's labs look better. That new plan is working. Julie put the phone down and cried the good kind. Spring cracked the sidewalks open. The wellness team launched a tiny idea that hit big. A pantry shelf in every department with cereal, fruit cups, and quiet dignity. A sign read, If you're hungry, you're not alone, eat. Brent stocked the shelf in facilities himself and wrote a second sign in block letters. Real men eat bananas before lifting. Everyone laughed. The bananas vanished and reappeared, like a magic trick that fed people. Summer heat pressed the city, but late evenings by the lake were soft. They went back to the wedding path and took a photo. Diane insisted on holding the camera. The picture was tilted and perfect. They printed it and stuck it on the fridge under the green bracelet. The magnet now held a whole museum of proof. The drawing with stars, the napkin cat, the tooth fairy note, the tilted lake photo, a tiny receipt for an inhaler with covered stamped across it. If you stood outside their building at 9 any night, you wouldn't see fame. You'd see a warm window and 3 silhouettes at a table. You'd hear a small song about spoons and stars. The doormat said hello in yellow letters, more for them than for guests. Inside, the air had that quiet sound a room makes when people trust each other to stay. And if tonight you are under your own cold awning, waiting for a call, a break, a hand, know this. Sometimes a plate is already on its way that you didn't order. Sometimes a stranger says one sentence that lets you stand up. Sometimes you are that stranger for someone else. And if none of that happens yet, if the night stays long, remember this too. Showing up is not small. It is the start of everything. Julie once walked out of a lobby with a folder, a cold truth, and no plan. She thought that day ended her. It introduced her instead to the version of herself she could trust, to a child who handed her a green wire ring and taught her the shape of home, to a man who fixed a drawer, remembered a bracelet, and asked for forever. Snow still falls. It always will. But in one apartment with a yellow doormat and a fridge that holds important paper tight, there is heat that doesn't come from a radiator. There is a door that doesn't lock against need. There is a family that understands the math of enough. And there is a green bracelet that never learned to be perfect and never had to. Because its job isn't to be pretty. Its job is to remind them and you that love is rarely even, but it holds.